All right, let's get right into it. Today we're looking at a brand new idea that could give AI something it's desperately needed, a perfect, basically limitless memory. And trust me, this isn't just some minor upgrade. It's a whole new playbook for how AI can handle information. So, if you think about it, what's the biggest thing holding back even our most powerful AI? It isn't a lack of brain power. No, it's something way more basic. It's memory. Or, to be more precise, a really, really bad short-term memory. And that leads us right to the heart of the problem. It's a technical bottleneck that engineers call the context window. You can think of it as this invisible wall that every AI today keeps slamming into. So what is a context window? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the AI's short-term memory. It's the total amount of information the model can see all at once when it's trying to answer you. If the information you give it is too long, like a huge report, a whole code base, or an entire novel, it just doesn't fit. The AI literally starts to forget the beginning of the document by the time it gets to the end. And look, this isn't just a problem for smaller AIs. The researchers behind this paper make it super clear. Even the biggest, baddest frontier models out there, they all suffer from this. The more stuff you try to cram in, the worse their answers get. And you can see it right here. This chart shows a phenomenon that researchers call context rot. See that line? As the amount of information grows, that's the axis along the bottom, the AI's performance just completely tanks. It's like asking you to remember every single detail from page 1 of a novel by the time you're on the last chapter. It's not going to happen. The details get lost.
But what if we've been thinking about this problem all wrong? What if, instead of trying to build a bigger and bigger short-term memory, we could just teach the AI to use the document itself as its memory? Well, that's the radical new idea we're going to unpack.
This slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, that's the old way, just trying to brute force everything through that tiny memory window. But on the right, that's the new way, the RLM way. The AI stops trying to memorize the document and starts acting like a researcher using the document as an external tool, kind of like a library it can check things out from. So here's the big insight, the real game changer. Stop treating the AI like a hard drive you have to fill up. Instead, treat it like a researcher. Give it the tools to go out, explore the information, search for what's relevant, and break a massive, impossible problem down into a bunch of smaller, solvable ones. Right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how does this recursive trick actually work under the hood? It's actually really clever and surprisingly elegant. Let's break it down. Okay, so this diagram shows you the whole flow. The recursive language model, or RLM, basically loads the entire massive document into a little programming workspace. Then, and this is the wild part, the AI itself writes code to poke around in that document, to search it, and to figure out what to do. And if it hits a part that's still too complicated, it just calls a smaller version of itself to solve just that one piece. It's like an AI manager delegating tasks to other AI. So let's just walk through that one more time. Step 1. The huge document gets loaded into a sandbox. Step 2, the AI writes its own code to start picking it apart. Step 3, it breaks the main question down into smaller subproblems. Step 4, it calls a little mini-me version of itself to tackle each of those little problems. And then finally, step 5, it gathers all those little answers up and puts them together for the final response. And this is the really cool part. This isn't just an abstract idea on a whiteboard. You're looking at actual Python code written by the AI. It's using commands to search for specific words, split up the text, and then call on itself to process each part. The AI is no longer just a passive thing that spits out text. It's an active agent that writes and runs code to solve the problem. All right, the theory is fantastic, but the big question is, does it actually work when you put it to the test? Well, the results are, honestly, they're pretty stunning. Wow. Okay, this slide really tells the whole story. On the left, you see that context rot again, the normal top-of-the-line AI just collapsing as the task gets harder. But on the right, that's the RLM version. The performance stays rock solid, even as the amount of information scales up into the millions of words. It just works. It doesn't forget. I mean, just look at these numbers. They're wild. Ask a standard top-tier AI to browse 1,000 documents to find an answer. It gets a 0, a complete failure. The RLM version? Over 91% accuracy. Another tough reasoning task? The standard model is basically at 0 again, while the RLM scores a very respectable 58%. It's not even a competition. It's a total blowout. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this has got to be super expensive to run, right? Well, not necessarily. This chart shows that because the RLM is so much smarter about only looking at the relevant parts of a document, the average cost for a query is often lower than other methods. So it's not just more powerful, it can actually be more efficient. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've seen this incredible technical trick, but what does it all mean? Why does having an AI with a perfect memory actually matter in the real world? It's because this fundamentally changes the AI's job description. It goes from being this clever chatbot that forgets what you said 2 minutes ago to being a tireless, brilliant researcher that can hold an entire library's worth of knowledge in its head and actually reason about it. I mean, just think for a second about the possibilities this unlocks. An AI that could instantly read a company's entire financial history to find signs of fraud. One that could comb through millions of lines of code to find one tiny bug. It could connect the dots between thousands of different medical research papers. Or, just read and perfectly summarize every book in a library. And this really is just the beginning. The researchers themselves say it best right here. This opens up another axis of scale. Now, that's a nerdy way of saying we're not just getting better at the old way of doing things, we found a completely new direction to build in, a whole new way for AI to get smarter. So I'll leave you with this thought. That old barrier, the AI's terrible memory, it's starting to crumble. If you had an assistant that could read absolutely everything and forget absolutely nothing, what's the first truly impossible question you would ask it?